to hear that.
You know, you're wrapping a job there.
We don't.
I really thought that.
So
that
one
was-
of Regional School District 13
Hear me
Board of
out for a
Education
minute.
special meeting notice of August 1st, 2023 at 6 p.m. If we could all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I know between vacations and busy summers, it's a lot to get here, so I appreciate it. And for everyone online, Rob, Jason, and Amanda, just want to say hello. We'll go to number 2, approval of the agenda. Want to make a motion? Motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Linda. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I guess we have to do a roll call. Move on to number 3, public comment. Do you have any in-person public comment? Tanya,
Danya Viola Durham.
you want to go for the microphone so they can hear you through the speaker? It's right over here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I took a look at tonight's agenda for the special meeting to be held. Since it deals with protocol for an upcoming meeting or meetings, would you please give serious thought to allowing for any of the members to at least share their thoughts in response to questions, concerns, and regular issues raised during the course of Board of Ed meetings. Over the past several years, apparently because of the previous chairperson and the new superintendent, the communication is too restrained as it currently exists. One needs to remember that all sitting members were elected in a process to help establish and ensure fair and proper representation for any participants on either side of the table, and any of whom from either town should be recognized and appreciated for the volunteering the time it takes to succeed in this vital mission. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night and good head.
Have a good night. Okay, number 4, discussion and possible action directing the superintendent to prepare a draft communications protocol for the August regular meeting. This item, we'd be talking about the August 9th regular meeting. What I think is important, and this is a lot of the things we've all talked about, is that we need to make expectations clear and matters that are in the interest of the board. On a day-to-day, these issues affect how the board makes policy and how the superintendent implements these policies. It's important that we be on the same page and that we have protocols in place. We currently don't have as many protocols in place other than past practice. So it's something that we really should be looking at. And I know we've all discussed. What I'd like to see is a motion directing the superintendent to prepare a draft communications protocol for the August regular meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Linda. Second.
Second, Amanda.
Second.
Second by Jamie. All right, let's do a roll call.
We'll do discussion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, discussion.
This is Bob.
Does anyone else have any discussion on this?
This
I
is,
think,
can you
I
hear
think
me?
it would be important to give the objectives, like why this is something. So I think in my opinion, that might be a good thing to discuss. Like, what is it that we'd like to see out of this policy?
Is there something, do you think that you want to give towards that, or?
So I think that even if it's all of the above, being explicit about what kind of communication are we talking about? Are we talking about email? Are we talking about board to admin? Are we talking about all of the above, right? I think that, and I'm not positive. So I think that that would be good guidance. To give those parameters, like what is it that we're looking for? What kind of a protocol? From whom to whom? By what means? Like, is it email? Is it phone? Is it text? Is it one-to-one? Is it?
And I think mostly what we've gone through and discussed is that it would be written and verbal communication between the board and the superintendent, or anyone that in matters of the board and the superintendent. So we're talking about oversight on knowing what happens when someone asks a question. For instance, I'll give a great example of something we've talked about. When a board member asks a question, how that communication gets back to that member and how it gets back to the rest of the board.
Lindsay, this is Bob. Can you hear me?
I think Bob's trying to talk.
Can you hear me?
Can you unmute Bob? Oh, he is,
No.
unmuted, but we can't hear him. Can the speaker's not on?
We heard Tanya, it could just be his mic, I can't.
But we didn't hear
I-
it say recording.
hear
so
Bob.
think-
We turned that off a while ago.
Oh,
Jason and I can talk, but
he's talking. I see him talking.
anyway,
Let me go check YouTube.
Amanda or Jason, can you try talking?
Yeah, I am.
I am too, but you guys can't hear
They're
us.
Talking too.
yeah, can you, we can hear each other.
Hold on, guys.
Tanya.
Can you hear me now?
There we
Hey,
go.
Bob.
Again, I just have the same question as Linda is, you're talking about a communication plan to communicate with the board, not with the public, not with the administrators, not with the teachers, just between Doug and the rest of us. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, Bob.
Does that include not just the protocol and but also the content? Right, so that, or is that gonna, does that fall into the policy committee about? Like, what is it that we have a right to know from the central office? And
Yeah, I think that's a gray area between oversight and.
that's what, because as I
communication.
was saying, I was like, maybe that fits better. Or
I do think that fits better in an oversight discussion. And this would just be strictly, and it is a draft in all honesty.
Right.
How, Doug's sitting right here, but how Doug feels that it should go and how our communication should be.
Okay.
Is there anything that you have questions on? Or-
No, but I appreciate the clarification because there are lots of these out there. We're not the first district that has maybe wanted to go establish these things. And I think what is important, what may be helpful is I see this has to be consistent, I would think, with existing policies and laws and things like that. Or we would have to go back if you don't like some of the existing things that are on there that speak to these issues tangentially, not as explicitly as I think as we're talking about. So it may lead us to a conversation that goes ultimately back to policy committee. If you like the draft, or if you don't like it and it doesn't say what you want it to say, and then we have to go back and do that. And I think the other comment I'll make, and I'll share more of this when I actually present the draft next week, is a lot of boards that have these communication protocols. They're kind of embedded with other board protocols. And you guys have touched on some of them. Some of them are board to board, some of them are board to superintendent, some are board to staff, because generally speaking, these communication issues will sometimes touch a lot of different areas. Again, I'm hearing you guys say to limit it to board to superintendent, and that's what I'll do out of the gate, but you may see some things that say, well, now why don't we have that for that kind of situation too? And yeah.
Yeah, no, it could be something we look down on the road when you look at like communication trees that happen. And a lot of people give these for the public as well, where they give a situation and it kind of gives you a
The
choose your own
perfect example.
adventure,
Yep.
with lines and arrows. And I
That's a
think
perfect
limiting it,
example.
just to the board at this point, I think is really important. As a CEO, have an oversight function and developing that protocol for our consideration, it's important. It's important for us to have, and it's important for the community to understand how our communication works and how the ones that elect us into these seats function with us. I think in a lot of things you said, you're talking about protocols, there are exemptions to protocols. There's going to be legal parameters, and I think it's not iron and stone. It doesn't have to be obviously into policy completely. I think it's a protocol for the board to have. Could even get melded in with bylaws if necessary.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but
Mhm.
you all have to decide that once you decide, what you want to do with the draft and where it goes from there.
And I think ultimately it falls in the realm of policy. So if we get a draft and then, we need further clarification, we can send it to policy. I think it's within their scope. Anyone else?
But you don't want me to write it as a policy out of the gate.
No,
write it
I
as
think
kind
so.
of
Just a
like
draft protocol would be great.
Will do.
Andrew, Jason? Maura? Anything? No? All right, so we'll close discussion. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Aye.
oh, are we roll calling?
Roll call.
Go ahead, Jason.
Jason Stone, aye.
Bob Moore, aye.
Amanda Betty, aye.
Maura Caminello, aye. Lindsay Dahlheimer, aye.
Jamie Roback, aye.
Mariah Roy, aye.
Linda Darcy, I.
All right, motion passes. Number 5, discussion and possible action directing the policy committee to draft and recommend a new policy on board oversight and responsibilities. So again, this kind of melds in with 4, and it goes into a lot of the things that we talked about in 4. But this would be the first step in order for policy to really take it and develop that. Some of our bylaws kind of hint at different oversight. Some state statute goes into oversight. Gabe can give us some stuff into oversight. But ultimately, it's the key to where our district is, and it's how our district communicates and how we run business at this point. We're elected by the community, and it's a role that we have to take seriously. It's a role that allows us to be successful, and we're really not successful unless we really know the boundaries of where our roles in oversight are, as well as with the superintendent. So if we want, I'll take a motion directing the policy committee, to draft and recommend a new policy on board oversight responsibilities. Want to make that motion?
So moved.
Linda?
Second,
Second by Jason. All right, discussion. Wonder if you want to start with where you were, that way we can.
Oh, I got nothing. I mean, because the work is gonna happen in the committee, right? So.
Correct. Yeah, I know if anyone had any discussion on what we want the policy committee to look at, or if we just want them to take, old board oversight responsibilities along with other districts and really research them and come up with a really good policy and then bring it back to us.
I mean, I think that sounds, it's the accordion method, right? So we'll go out, the committee will do a little pre-research discussion, cherry pick some of the things and then bring it to the board for feedback.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Do you want this added to the policy committee agenda meeting for next week? And I'm only
Yes,
asking because it's
yeah.
already a pretty full agenda and. But I don't know what the priority is compared to other things that, again, ultimately, that's Bob and John as committee chairs would make that decision, but if there was some direction just for Meg to even get the draft out to them.
Yeah, just let me pull it up. We don't have that one posted yet, right?
No, that's,
Okay.
and she's in the process of talking to the committee chairs about that, but she's gonna ask me tomorrow, that's why.
Yeah, I think it should be added. If anything,
Okay.
they don't make it to it, it's something else they feel
Sure.
more pressing, but if it's on there, then they can address that or start to address it in it.
Okay. I was really asking because Linda was talking about research and I didn't know if people would have time to do any research in the next week and come, would be expected to come ready, or if you just bring it up at that meeting and then that would go forward.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, even if they only get started, I think it's very important.
Thank you.
Lindsay, do you have anything in mind that, or any documents that you've seen at other boards that would be helpful?
Yeah, I do have Region 17, Westbrook's region, Cave gave me some information. I do have some of the stuff from the state. So what I can do is PDF that to you and John, so you can take a look at that ahead of time.
Linda too is on the board too.
Yeah, I just managed chairs.
All right,
I can send it out to all policy if you think that's helpful ahead of time.
sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've gone through the statute a couple times over the last couple of years, and it's pretty limited on what they provide our role. So it might have to be pretty cautious in how we approach this.
Yeah, correct. I think Cave actually went line for line through the statute, so that should be helpful.
Okay,
Jason or Amanda?
No, I just think it's a good thing because then we're able to actually tell the public what we're responsible for. We can be like, no, look, there's a policy, we have to follow it.
Yeah, correct. Maura? No? No? All right, so we'll close discussion, take a vote, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with Bob.
yes, Aye.
Jason Stone,
Thank you.
Jason Stone, yes. Amanda Betty, yes.
Maura Caminelli, yes. Lindsay Dahlheimer, aye.
Jamie Rohrbeck, aye.
Mariah Roy, aye.
Linda Darcy, aye.
Motion passes. All right, Marissa's public comment. No public comment. And there's no one online either. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
okay.
All right. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Aw.
Good night.